Where shall I find a new adversary so close to my own level?
Try the local sewer.
Shh. Spoilers ahead. By the way, I think I lost my notes for the Raiders of the Lost Ark. Hi everybody, and welcome to Cinemattraction. I'm Heat Guy J, and along with me as always is the main man, too cold to the bone,
John.
Yes.
There we are. How are you?
Well, I'm very good.
What have you been watching recently? Because we haven't done this for a couple of weeks.
We haven't. I saw a Guy Ritchie film called The Gentleman.
Okay.
Which I enjoyed, which was basic Guy Ritchie type film. You know?
Cool.
Gangsters and... Oh, you mate!
White boys, I'll strap you up, governor.
And I've seen, I rewatched Superman the movie, which I love, with my OG Superman.
We should do an episode on that.
Yeah, Christopher Reeve, yeah. And also, I went for an eye test.
Oh, what happened to you during your eye
Well,
test?
basically, what's been happening is, while I've been doing this podcast, I've been taking notes, watching the film,
Right.
and as I've looked back at my phone, the phone's been blurry. Like, the words on the phone are, like, blurry, out of focus.
Right.
So I have to take my glasses off to look at my phone.
Okay.
If not, if I look from the TV to the phone, it's blurry.
Fine.
So
you need is it varifocals or something?
varifocals or bifocals.
Okay.
So anyway, this woman, I'm like saying, I'm not going to have bifocals or varifocals. I'm not having them, right?
Why?
Because they will mess with my eyes. Because the way that I am, the different, prescription.
But you're messing with your eyes now by going from one screen to another, so...
Well, I know, but I wear my glasses most of the time. You know what I mean?
Right, okay.
So anyway, the woman tries to sell it to me, and I'm like, no, I'm not having this.
When
And
was this? Was this week?
Yeah, this was at Vision Express.
Oh, okay.
So for our international viewers, that's a like a opticians or optometrist,
It's
or
a chain of optometry.
Yes.
Yeah.
And she was like, "Oh no," and I was like, "I ride a bike." And I can't have blurry bits in my glass, because she's like, the middle bits of these varifocals are slightly blurry because they're a mix of the prescription.
Sure.
And I'm like, I can't have blurry bits.
No,
I'm gonna kill myself.
You'll crash your motorcycle, yeah.
She seemed really upset about the fact I wouldn't go for that, because she was like, "Oh well, what you'll have to do is you'll have to just take them off and put on reading glasses." And I was like, "I can do that." Because what's wrong with people these days? Why does everything have to be about convenience? Why did everything? Do you see what I mean? Why does everything has to? Why can't we just put yourself out a little bit and just go, right? You know what? I am going to make myself a coffee. You know what I mean? I'm not just going to go and pay for a coffee. I'm going to make myself a coffee. Indeed. Or I'm going to, change my glasses over.
There we are.
I don't need them when I'm on my...
Do you have to change your glasses every few years, though? Isn't that what they say?
Well, they do, but they said I didn't need to change my prescription for, looking around, because I can see perfectly well. But it's an uncomfortable process. I was sitting with this optician, and he was, he had bad breath.
Oh.
And, and so I was trying... and he didn't talk.
Oh.
So it was a lot of tap, 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 tap on the computer, and
How awkward.
Yeah, and
long
I just sat there for
silences.
really long silences for 5 minutes.
Don't like those.
No, and I was just it's just a horrible experience. I just don't. Yeah, it's not a bad experience. It's just not it's a comfortable experience. You know what I mean? Right. I mean, you would never know that I was the age I am. Everybody would probably think, "Oh, poor little 14-year-old kid."
The reality is you're
quite old.
A few years older than what your voice perhaps suggests.
Maybe, yeah.
Indeed. Best film I've seen this week was The Double Life of recently anyway, was The Double Life of Veronique. What
a French film. Yes.
What a film.
Right.
It's a story of two women who look identical.
Yes, I read that in your thing.
One lives in France, one lives in Poland.
Right.
They've never met, but they share a bond or a connection or something or other. I could not recommend that movie more. Raiders of the Lost Ark is an action-adventure epic directed by Steven Spielberg and written by Lawrence Kasdan. 1936, the year of our Lord Jesus Christ. We follow American archaeologist Indiana Jones as he learns from army intelligence that Nazi officers are excavating a site in Egypt. Within the communications, there is reference to Jones's mentor, Abner Ravenwood, and Jones assesses that the Nazis are seeking the mysterious Ark of the Covenant, which would make the Nazi forces invincible. So, Indy sets off to secure the Ark first. When searching for Ravenwood, Jones encounters Abner's daughter, Marion, in a Nepalese bar, who informs him that Abner is dead. Marion is in the possession of a medallion which bears a map apparently leading to the location of the Ark. Enter a creepy Gestapo agent. The bar goes up in flames, and though Gestapo boy cannot swipe the medallion, he winds up accidentally etching a print of the burning item onto his hand. Indy lands in Cairo and meets with friend Salah, who reveals that Indy's nemesis, Belloc, is helping the Nazis in their search. Indy and Belloc have a bit of previous, having yoinked a golden idol from him at the beginning of the film. Indy and Salah see that the Nazis are digging in the wrong spot and wind up securing the Ark, only for Belloc and the Nazis to scupper them and seize it. Indy and Marion are captured, they escape and re-secure the Ark, only to lose it again to the Nazis when they attempt to sail it to London. Cue an amazing showdown between Indy, Marion and the Nazis when Indy cunningly tests the Nazis to open the Ark to see if the power is actually real. Turns out it is, and the scumbags melt. A critical and commercial success, winning 5 Oscars and earning a spot on the US National Film Registry for its cultural significance, spawning 2 excellent sequels and 2 less than excellent sequels. Comic books, novelizations, toys, video games, Disneyland, attractions and so on. What do you think of Raiders of the Lost Ark?
Well, I mean, it's one of those classic, family Steven Spielberg adventure movies.
Yes.
Like Goonies, or
right.
Think that it's an action event. It's for some reason, I don't know. I've never really been really into it. I'm not saying it's a bad film.
No.
And I think Harrison Ford is brilliant as Indiana Jones. Fantastic. And to be honest, they're never going to replace him. It's like Hugh Jackman with Wolverine. You're never going to replace it. You hear what I'm saying?
Why do I get the feeling that that's going to come
James
again?
Mangold.
Oh, God. Okay. It's very much inspired by the old Saturday matinee.
Yeah, I mean,
serials.
it's because it's George Lucas. It's the same way he was inspired by Flash Gordon and things like that for Star Wars.
Zorro and things like that.
He's sort of been, inspired by those Saturday
matinee serials. Are they?
They're the ones that have the cliffhangers, aren't they?
Yeah,
sort of thing.
Yeah, I think you could chop this film up into segments.
Right.
Into several matinee serial segments, that is.
Right.
Such as the opening in which Indy steals the golden idol. That sequence could finish with a "join us next time" as he's getting away on the jock's plane, right?
Oh, yeah, of course. And there's a snake in there, yeah.
Right, then he gets briefed, then he goes to Nepal, where he meets Marion, and the bar goes up in flames. And you could, at the end of that bit, you could probably hear another "join us again."
Oh, yeah, of course.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I see that now. I really
Right.
see, yeah. I mean, I did notice that with the new one, there was segments a bit like that as well.
Sure.
It was done in...
Similar.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's inspired by that, and I think you could chop this film, all of these films, up into those various segments.
Right, so like 10-minute little...
Join us again!
10-minute little adventures.
As our hero, yeah.
Whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, this is, as I said, it's a cult movie, and it deserves its place, but it's just... I suppose it's just like... Star Trek. Star Trek never really hit it for me. I don't mind it, but it's just never really been my thing. And I'm not keen on Romancing the Stone type adventures.
Really?
Yeah, really. I don't like we've got to go through a jungle and we've got to, get these clues and we've got to, there's a thing a cog that we've got to move and we've got to unsolve this, we've got to solve this mystery of that this person's left behind. Kind of like what they do,
Well,
where
like
they
Rise
say
of
this.
Skywalker.
Well, I suppose that was a little bit. I suppose,
exactly that.
yeah. I suppose it was. Yeah, it was a little bit. Yeah.
Really good film, that, isn't it? Amazing.
Indiana Jones doesn't have Chewbacca in it, though, does it?
No, it's got Salah instead. There are some amazing action sequences.
There is some fantastic action sequences, especially for the time.
Spielberg directs and executes these sequences to perfection.
Yeah.
The camera is always thoughtfully placed. There are no unnecessary or sort of superfluous edits or cuts.
Yeah.
The push and pull stakes and the aspects of peril are always crystal clear.
The pacing is really good as well.
Pacing is top notch.
Really good. There's no bits where you really feel like, oh, damn, we've stopped.
There's no breath.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the stunt work is incredible.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah, definitely.
And there's no silly CGI. I'm looking at you, Dial of Destiny. What I really love, particularly about the action in this, is that something is happening and going down with one character, but simultaneously something is going down with another character. So
This is the bits I hate.
the action overlaps
Yeah.
and builds momentum.
Yeah,
And
I don't like
it's-
that sort of thing.
Why?
I don't know.
It's
I just,
momentum.
I don't know. It's just like the bit with the plane where Indy's fighting the really
big fella, yeah,
the really
with
big
the propeller
hench.
going on.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
the
love that
propeller.
scene.
She's stuck in there.
Yeah, there's
and
there's so many overlapping things going on.
Yeah,
It's
and
just-
that is very George Lucas. That is
Right.
very, there's
What's
kind.
wrong with that?
I
What
don't
do you
know.
not like
I
about it?
don't.
Specifically, what do you like? What do you not like about it? You can't say
Well,
I don't
okay,
know.
okay.
Because
Well,
you have to have a
let
reason.
me tell you that scene reminds me of the scene in Naboo in the Phantom Menace where Anakin is stuck in the Naboo fighter.
Sure.
You've got Queen Amidala over shooting other people,
Right.
And then you've got Darth Maul fighting Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan, and you've got all these things going on at once.
That's
right?
great.
I don't really like those bits.
Why?
I don't know. I just don't like the over. I don't know. I just don't like the overlapping things, and I don't like. Oh, look, he's going to jump across here, and he's going to hang off the back of a truck, and then there's going to be the side of
The
a
truck
wall.
sequence.
Yeah,
the truck
there's-
sequence is iconic.
I
No?
don't like it.
Right. Okay. Do you like the whole opening sequence with
Yes.
Satipo, Alfred
Yes.
Molina? Yeah.
Alfred Molina, yes, young Alfred Molina.
Right, they're navigating through a dungeon.
Yes, I do like that bit. I
Right.
do like that, and the whole iconic bit with the rolling ball, and I think that's
And
fantastic.
He double crosses Indy.
Yes.
It's like, give me the whip.
Yeah, I think it's brilliant.
Yeah, yeah. Brilliant.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
Okay, you don't. Okay.
No, I have no problems with
And
that.
then he's double crossed by Belloc.
Yeah,
Brilliant.
I like Belloc as a character. I hate his accent.
Oh, I love Belloc. My favourite character
He
in
doesn't sound French at all.
Belloc.
He doesn't sound French.
Right.
He doesn't sound French.
Fine. What do you think of like?
I think he's quite a good villain though. But I would have liked
Okay, well, let's
to
talk
know.
about the characters then.
Okay,
So, what do you think of? Okay, go on. Belloc. What do you
Belloc,
think of
I
Belloc?
would have liked to know a
Love
little
Belloc.
bit. I love him, but I'd like to know a little bit more about him. You know what I mean?
Right.
I would have liked to know a bit more about Indiana Jones and his past together.
Right.
Maybe there's been like several things
I
that
think they kind of set that up at the beginning.
yeah. But what I mean is like a back and forth sort of thing. Maybe Indiana Jones has got something Belloc was after, and Belloc has got something double crossed him and got something.
So
he's
there's
up.
been a bunch of double crosses.
Yeah,
over
there's
the
been
years.
it's like a
Right.
feud. I would have liked to see
But
maybe.
you kind of do get that at the beginning, though. You
You
get
do
the double
get
crosses at the
that,
beginning,
but
which
I'd
kind
like
of
to know
sets
a
it
little
up.
bit,
You
you
want
know.
more of that?
Yeah, I would like to know a little bit more, maybe Indiana Jones explaining when he got back, like what happened. Oh, well, it was Belloc, and, like the thing that happened when I was over in, Africa.
Right.
The same thing happened, like, down there. Something similar to that, so it gives you just a bit of, like, oh, right, they've encountered each other a lot of times.
Right. You want Indiana. You want Indy to say like,
Yeah,
he robbed this from me, but I kind of
Yeah,
double-crossed
yeah,
him.
and I got the impression that was their relationship. To be honest, I would have liked to. I wouldn't have liked to seen Belloc die, to be honest, because I would have liked to seen him in sequels, perhaps.
Okay.
So he could have taken him on again, like an arch nemesis,
He
maybe.
just pops up in the Last Crusade.
Yeah,
or something.
because
right.
at this point, the bad guys in Indiana Jones don't really matter, do they? Do you know what I mean? There's no real villain of Indiana Jones.
No overriding one.
No, it's all. I mean, there are Nazis. Yes,
Yeah,
you could
the
say the
Nazis
Nazis are the main villain.
The
really.
Nazis are the main villain.
But it's them as a
whole.
A whole, yeah.
He's always battling Nazis.
Yeah, he is. Well, a lot of the time he is.
Right.
Yeah, I would have liked to seen that. I would like to say, Belloc maybe turning up in the Last Crusade or something.
Right.
So
yeah,
don't
yeah, I
don't
wouldn't
see
be
him in
against
don't
it.
see him
Yeah,
in
for sure.
Temple of Doom, but
Right.
see him in the Last
So
Crusade.
he comes up and he's doing something.
he just pops up. Yeah,
Right.
And he doesn't even need to be the main villain, really.
And he redeems himself. He helps Indy.
Maybe that could have been great.
There we are.
That could have been great. Instead of just introducing these new Nazis or these new, people.
Right.
Because he is one of the most memorable characters. I mean, I can remember characters like the blonde girl from Last Crusade.
Yeah.
I don't remember her name. Do you know what I mean? I don't really remember her.
Right.
I remember the voodoo guy from, the Kali guy from... But I don't really remember his name.
Right, okay. Fine.
Yeah, you see what I mean?
Yeah, fine. My favourite bit in this is when... My favourite bit relating to Belloc is when the fly sort of crawls into his mouth. Do you remember that scene?
Yes.
He's got the rocket launcher pointed at him, and yeah, brilliant. What do you think of... we'll get to Indy in a moment, but what do you think of Karen Allen's Marion Ravenwood?
I think she's the sort of woman that Indiana Jones needs.
Yeah.
Because she's not the damsel in distress,
No.
normally. I mean, she had a little bit of damsel in distress when she was tied up.
She's every bit
But-
Indy's equal.
Yes, yeah. And I think she's the sort of character Indiana Jones needs, because if not, he's such a strong... You know what I mean? He's such a strong kind of adventurer, isn't he?
Right.
That he needs a woman to keep up with
well,
him.
no, he needs someone to ground him.
Yeah, and someone to keep up with him and play on his
up-
level,
yeah,
sort of
yeah.
thing. He's not. I don't think he would be any good with like a sort of Kim Basinger, sort of, you know, a bit like in Batman, where she's screaming all the
screams a lot,
time,
she's a
and
damsel.
no, I think
Right.
that would be really irritating.
Whereas
I think-
she's the equal in this.
yeah,
sense.
exactly.
She's fantastic.
She is really good, and in the first scene you see her in Nepal, it gives you the exact thing of what she's beating people under the table drinking. You know, that
Yeah.
tells you what kind of woman she is. That
Yeah.
don't mess with her.
Her introduction is amazing. She's having a game of shots.
Yes, and the look on that bloke's face, the one she's
As he just sort of she's having a game of shots against this man mountain in her Nepalese bar, and she winds up drinking
Yeah.
under the table, and it's hilarious.
I love that look of that bar
how he
as
falls
well.
sideways.
Yeah,
into
and he
it
got
with
that look on his
of it.
face, that
so
smile,
good.
the elation.
Really quickly establishes her character.
Yeah.
and I love that.
And I love the set of the bar as well. I think her bar is amazing.
yeah,
the way it
sure.
looks.
Yeah, for sure. Which
I
goes up
mean,
in
when
flames.
I'm watching that scene, I always think to myself, God, I'd love to go to that bar. Do you know what I mean? If it existed, it looks so cool. I mean, that is one thing I do like about the Indiana Jones films. The locations are always really cool.
yeah, sure.
You know, they're always really good, and you know,
I agree. What do you think of John Rhys Davies' is Sulla?
well, I like John Rhys Davies, so
Chewbacca.
you know, yeah, I like him. I mean, I don't really know if he
He's the
does he
Egyptian.
really add anything much. I mean, I know he helps to rescue him.
Well, he is the sort of fixer. He goes to Cairo.
Yeah.
And he's like, the Nazis are here and they're excavating here.
So he's really more of a fixer. So he's
Kind of.
yeah.
Well, he's a clever. He's like a professional excavator / digger fella, and he helps Indiana Jones. He's a lifelong friend.
Yeah,
You would be friends
but
with Indy, though, wouldn't you?
Well,
he's
of
a
course you
handy man
would.
to know in
Yeah.
a place where there's tons of history and tons of artifacts to be.
The thing is, what I
To be
like,
unearthed.
what I like about that is that when we talk about the other one,
Right.
is you know that Sala is an actual long-time friend of Indy when it comes up in.
I have a problem with the next one where
Yes.
he comes in just randomly.
Well, that doesn't worry me. It just
Why?
it's more of you know. I mean, we'll have to talk about
Well,
that.
let's
in-
talk about it. He comes out of nowhere. It makes
he
no
does.
sense.
Well, you know what it is, don't you? It's fan service, isn't it?
Well, I know it's fan service, but you do need him to be. You need him around, but you can't just dump him in. You can't just like flick him at the wall suddenly. Do you know what I mean?
Well, that's
Anyway,
what they do. Well,
just
that's
to
what
say,
they do in movies, isn't it?
I love John Rhys
Yeah.
Davies in this movie. I love John Rhys Davies in I think everything I've ever seen him in.
I do.
So brilliant performance, great character, Chewbacca, Denham
And he-
Elliott.
Oh, I
as
love Denham
Marcus
Elliott.
Brody.
Oh, I love him.
I love him in everything.
Do you know what I love him in the most? Trading Places.
I'm so glad you said that. It's one of my favourite films, and he's so good. Yeah, the museum. He's in this movie. He plays a museum curator,
Yes.
and is perhaps Indiana Jones's most loyal friend.
Yes.
Um,
I've always, I mean, like with the other ones, I think it's after Last Crusade, isn't it? You know, he's not in it anymore, and
we
he's
know
a bit
what
of a
happened to Denham Elliott.
yeah. I mean,
but
it's a bit of a loss to.
it's
to
a massive loss. He
yeah.
brings that sort of dry, sly British.
And it's like his little club as
self-awareness.
well. Like
Yeah.
Indiana Jones has his little club of he's got
his mates.
Yeah, he's got his mates. He's got his curator at the museum,
Yeah.
and then he's got Sala, who's like his fixer, and he's got
Yeah.
his own little
He's got his
band
little-
of circle friends.
Yeah,
around,
it's
and-
Gustav in the Budapest hotel. He's got his mates dotted all around, and they all help him. It's so good. So okay, Elephant in the Room. What do you think of Harrison Ford in this?
Fantastic. I mean, yeah. I mean, the two roles that you're going to think of Harrison Ford is Han Solo and Indiana Jones. They are his most iconic roles.
Okay, he was in Blade Runner as well. I'd put
Yes,
that in there
yeah,
as well.
but those
yeah,
are
for
his
sure.
most.
Yeah, definitely,
You know,
definitely.
You know, as my nephew said to me, when I said about Harrison Ford, he said, "Oh, you mean Han Solo?"
Sure.
And I was like, well, yeah, you could, but like I don't need to refer to him as Han Solo because he's Harrison Ford. Do you know what I
Harrison
mean?
Ford. He's
You
definitely
don't
his
need
own
to
one.
mention any film Harrison Ford has been in. It's Harrison Ford.
It's Harrison Ford.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's one of those iconic actors, fantastic actors.
Yeah, he's got like a deadpan grizzled charm.
Yes, and I think his work is consistently quite good. You know, he's had some
He's had some absolute stinkers.
awful, regarding Henry.
Ritz.
Let's not be regarding Henry.
Disregarding Henry.
Yeah, disregarding it. But on the whole, I think his catalogue of work is good.
Yeah, what do you think about him in this role, though?
Brilliant. I think he was really made for the role.
Perfect.
I think Tom Selleck could have done it though.
He was lined up. Yeah.
Yes, I think Tom Selleck could have done it.
I don't know.
And I would have liked to seen Indy with with the tash. Oh, I don't know.
I disagree.
No.
I'd like to see it, but I
Right.
don't think he'd be. I
You
don't
don't
think
think so?
he would have brought anything what Harrison Ford brought.
No,
I don't
okay.
think he's that strong, charismatic,
Oh no,
and
I mean,
multi-dimensional.
Yeah.
Having that deadpan aspect
Yeah.
to him, and having that physicality to him that Harrison Ford just has.
I
in
think that's what
others.
makes Harrison Ford funny is because he seems always quite sort of deadpan and grumpy,
Yeah.
and the dryness is just what's so hilarious.
I don't think he seems. I think he just is.
Oh,
I
okay.
don't think he's putting anything on. There's two sides to him. So he's got like the swashbuckling adventurer, but
And of course he's a nerd, isn't he?
But he's a button-down
Yeah.
lecturer, is what I would say. Yeah.
Well, a nerd.
Yeah, he's an he's
History nerd.
obsessed with. He's obsessed and dedicated to his
Calls and history.
to his work.
Yes, and he's also dedicated to protecting history.
Yeah. Yes.
He wants,
Conserving it.
he wants to protect it, and he doesn't like it.
Protecting artifacts, but
yeah.
also protecting
And not being
memory
used
and
and
the actual-
abused.
Right.
Yeah,
there's two sides to protecting it, isn't there? There's
Yeah.
protecting the artifacts, but there's also protecting the knowledge and the historical.
Yeah, and I think this is why obviously he's gone up against the Nazis so many times is because they have such little disrespect for everything.
He's able to dodge his way through every
He
situation.
is.
And that's the most human thing in the world. And the design of him as well, the fedora.
Brilliant. And the whip.
And the leather jacket.
And the jacket,
You
yeah.
just put the hat and
You
the
could
whip.
put the hat and the whip on the thing,
And you
on
know
the table, and you know who was there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's feeding into that as well. John Williams' iconic
Oh,
theme.
you know that, don't you?
Exactly.
You only need to hear that.
Yeah. If you
Yeah.
don't have the hat and the whip,
Yeah.
that theme, you know exactly what's going on.
You know exactly, yeah.
John Williams stepped in to compose the score pretty much at the last minute.
Wow.
Yeah, he
Right.
had weeks to do this.
Okay.
It was originally he replaced Jerry Goldsmith, who
Right.
would have been, who would have delivered an incredible score himself.
Yeah.
But
But John
to
Williams.
produce what he produced in
Yeah.
a matter of weeks is
Yeah.
ridiculous, and is
And
one
John
of
Williams
the
has just
greats.
come up with so many iconic, theme tunes like E.T. and, Indiana Jones, Star Wars, everything.
Yeah, you were saying earlier the Superman thing.
Yeah, I mean, Superman. As soon as I was thinking about Superman, I was thinking, about the Superman theme.
Yeah,
So it's just always, I think his music always comes, it sort of comes out of the movies where you want to listen to it. Where a lot of movies, I just watch it and the soundtrack's a soundtrack. I never think, I really want to
you're not
hear
always-
that theme.
You're not always blessed with an incredible soundtrack. or an
Like
iconic
Danny
score.
Elfman's Batman theme, or Edward Scissorhands theme.
Yeah.
They are beautiful pieces of music just to listen to.
Yeah, but it's also the power of what an incredible score offers
Yeah.
to a film.
Yeah, it really does. It really does. I mean,
just lifts it.
if you watch a film without a score,
Yeah.
guaranteed your enjoyment is going to go down at least 50%.
100, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Thoroughly
Yeah.
agree. It's
Yeah.
just-
It's so important. I don't think people think about how important sound design is and
Sound design,
and score
theme,
and all that.
Also
sort of
soundtrack, some good needle drops
Yeah.
whenever.
Yeah, I think that people don't really, because you don't notice it. That's the thing. When it's done right,
Yeah.
you don't notice it. You're just enjoying the whole thing together.
I also forget like the Jaws theme.
Yeah. Oh, do you know? I saw that live. I saw the. I think it was the London Orchestra.
Okay.
Came down.
Was he there?
Down here? No, he wasn't. But they
Okay,
were
but
playing
they
John
performed-
Williams music.
Wow.
And when they played Jaws, it was amazing. You heard that cello going. Oh, it was. The people were just like. Everybody was just silent.
Indeed. Verdict.
I think this film is big. Personally,
Good.
It is big.
Might not be your cup of tea.
It's
but
not my
you
cup of
can
tea.
recognise
But then
that it's a great
again,
film,
somebody
right?
that says Star Wars is not their cup of tea, that's fine too.
Right.
Star Wars is my cup of tea. Indiana Jones is not. It doesn't make it any worse. It doesn't make it worse because I don't like it.
Yeah, these films hold a particular place in my heart, and I've loved these films for
I think I like
however
rewatching
many
them
years,
because
I personally think the first 3 films of this series are bona fide, are
Right.
proper masterpieces.
Yeah.
And you've got all these wonderful, you've got George Lucas, you've got Lawrence Kasdan, you've got John Williams, you've got
And also
Spielberg,
there's-
you've got Indy, you've got
Yeah.
Karen Out, you've got everybody. It's just a perfect ball of
and you've got a lot of the
perfect.
stuff gets into like pop culture as well.
Right.
You've got that history with it. You're used to seeing things with Indiana Jones and
Right. It's weird because there's resonate. This film always kind of resonated with me when I saw this. I've seen so many horrific things in movies at such a young age that they're kind of still resonating. So I rewound the hell out of that. The when they open the Ark and the Nazis and the spirits and they all melt. I rewound the hell out of that when I was a kid. I love that. I've loved that scene for 30 odd years, right? Still love that scene, still resonates with me. But what not necessarily, I think it's a cool scene, but it's one of those things that's like, when I was a little kid, I was perhaps not interested in, I loved how it looked and all the rest of it, and I was kind of thought it was so cool. But it's one of those things that's like, then sticks in your brain and resonates within you, because how did they do that?
I know.
Do you know what I mean?
And also, it's quite horrific as well.
Yes.
For I mean, I don't. When Indiana Jones came out, I'm pretty sure it was a PG.
Yeah.
That's some of that
think so.
stuff. Some of that stuff. If you
Mellow
were to
Nazis.
watch, if you were to watch that with a 5-year-old, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not really for young children, I don't think. Unless maybe, I mean, I suppose it depends on the child. If they're very advanced, fine. Right. But if you're a little bit of a, your child's could be scarred.
It didn't affect me. I think I was more.
I think I always hated that scene. I think I always turned away when that scene came on.
It blew me away because it was so cool, but it sort of lasted within me on the basis of, how did they do that? Like, how did films get made?
I think it frightened me when I was a kid watching it. And I think I always used to watch it until the ghosts came out, the ghost women came out, and then I'd kind of turn away because I'd think, oh God, they're going to melt now.
Right.
And one of the guys literally goes like a tube of toothpaste, doesn't he? And his eyes just sort of pop out, and his head sort of...
guy.
No, not the Gestapo one, the other one. There's two.
Yeah,
there's one wearing a cap.
Right.
And his sort of head sort of goes toothpaste.
Yeah.
And the other one just melts.
Right. There's a love for the gruesome chaos, but there's also a love for craft.
I mean, the guy, is it Julian Glover? He dies in quite a spectacular fashion like that in the Last Crusade, doesn't he?
Right.
Very similar.
Right. Do you know what? You don't like the grappling with the big fellow at the airport, really close to the propeller?
No.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It's not one.
I think it's big. I love it. Blah, blah, blah.
Brilliant. I do want to mention, though, as a recommendation, if anybody would like to see a rip-off, King Solomon's Mine,
Explain.
Richard Chamberlain.
Okay. I don't know if I've ever seen it.
I think Richard Chamberlain's dressed like Indiana Jones in that film. So it's either... I think that may have come out after Indiana Jones, I think. And if it has, I think it was just
was.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'd recommend Star Wars, any Lucas Spielberg double team.
Yeah.
And certainly Doom and certainly Last Crusade. Perhaps more so Last Crusade because it's
I think Last Crusade is probably the best Indiana Jones film.
Best of the sequels.
I suppose. I mean, yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
Speaking of sequels, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny.
Oh. Ugh.
Is an action-adventure sequel from James Mangold. Man Bronze, I think, in this situation. Dial of Destiny is the 5th and final instalment of this franchise. For now, I presume. I get the feeling there's probably going to be another one. We begin in the midst of World War II. Indiana Jones and Oxford archaeologist friend Basil Shaw find their respective ways onto a Nazi steam train, as they attempt to steal a fancy pants powerful lance from the depths of a French castle. Scientist fella Jürgen Buller informs the scummy Nazis that the lance is fugazi, but he does have half of the Archimedes time travel-y dial thingy in his possession. Indy saves Basil, he grabs the dial and they escape. This is the longest sequence in movie history. Fast forward to 1969, Indiana Jones is an old-ass retired man, living in New York with particularly noisy neighbours. He and Marion are divorced. Their son Mutt has died in Vietnam. Indy's goddaughter, an archaeologist named Helena Shaw, turns up asking to research the dial half. Basil died and instructed Indy to destroy the dial, which he did not. They grabbed the dial from the university archives, but are scuppered by Voller and his henches. Voller is now working for NASA in true Operation Paperclip fashion and goes by the alias Dr. Schmidt. Helena, who happens to be a smuggler / rogue antiques dealer person, escapes with the dial, and Indy is framed with murder, ultimately escaping with a little help from Sala, who is working as a New York cabbie out of nowhere. It really gripes me. Indy escapes to Tangier, where he stops Helena from selling the dial. By accident happens to stop her, only to encounter Voller again. He just keeps coming up, who is apprehended for going rogue, because he's a NASA guy anyway. Indy, Helena, and Helena's trusted sidekick Teddy Kumar wind up in Greece to find the other half of the dial, where they encounter Indy's old friend Antonio Banderas, where they encounter Voller yet again, because much like a video game boss, he keeps returning at the end of each level.
He really does.
The group reach Archimedes' tomb and retrieve the second half of the dial. But wait! Archimedes' skeleton bears a modern-day wristwatch. Ooh. Much like a video game boss, Voller appears and captures Indy, where he assembles the dial and plots to travel back to 1939 to assassinate Hitler and win the war. Some people just can't let go. They travel through time on Voller's plane. Can you see how interested I am?
I can.
Into the siege of Syracuse of 214 BC. Voller's plane is shot down, killing Voller, which is a bit of an anticlimax.
Very.
Indy and Helena meet Archimedes, because he's just there, you see, who gives them the dial to return home. Archimedes takes Voller's wristwatch. Indy is reluctantly brought back to his own time, where everybody lives happily ever after. What do you think of James Mangold's Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny?
Well, to start with, I've got a problem with James Mangold. He needs to stop harassing Hugh Jackman about Wolverine.
Oh, is that what you were referring to at the start?
That's what I was referring to. Okay. He has the right to do Deadpool 3,
so he does.
Wolverine 5 billion if he wants. He's the OG Wolverine, he's the only Wolverine,
right.
And that's that, and James Mangold's just going to have to get on with it. Now, anyway, about his film, I don't really know where to start. I'm going to start at the beginning.
Okay, I'll start then. Okay. So I ain't going to lie.
No, I ain't. You ain't going to lie.
I was disengaged from much of this film.
So was I.
It's very long. There are the big set pieces, the supernatural and historical aspects. They're there. It's always wonderful to watch the Nazis lose and be humiliated.
Yep.
Love seeing that. But it ultimately lacks the ballsy thrills of Raiders, Doom and Crusade.
Yeah.
Yeah? Would you agree?
Definitely.
Okay.
Definitely.
Pushes all the right buttons, but it never really clicks.
Yeah. I mean, I think Mads Mikkelsen was wasted as a villain because they really didn't do much with him. He was just following them the whole time.
He just appears. They gave him a terrible send-off. Right.
Just crashes in a plane. I mean,
it's a bit anticlimactic.
Yeah, that doesn't happen to the bad guys normally. The bad guys get some kind of comeuppance, you know?
They get a big set piece, kind of one-on-one against Indy.
Exactly. Or something that they've got has destroyed them.
50-year-old Mads Mikkelsen could probably tear 80-odd-year-old Harrison Ford into pieces.
Of course.
So they probably couldn't have a showdown.
I just... To be honest, the dial really wasn't that interesting for me.
Right.
The idea of time travel was not interesting. I just thought, well, you're adding time travel onto Martians or spacemen, onto, the Ark of the Covenant, onto the chalice, the Holy Grail chalice of Christ, and onto the stones in...
Sure.
You're just... time travel,
Time travel just feels a bit weird in this instance. Actually, no, I don't know. I think it works in this instance.
I think all of Indiana Jones's films have all been up to... The third one were all to do with religion. The Shankara stones were to do with Indian religion.
Right.
The Ark was to do Christian, and of course the Holy Grail Christian religion. Right. And then it was 60s and spacemen, or 50s and spacemen.
Right. Crystal Skull, yeah.
Yeah, Crystal Skull. So it gets off the religious aspect, and then...
I don't know if the film's about... I think this film is about ageing.
Right. Okay.
That's what I think this film is about. And about how things change.
Right.
How attitudes change.
Yeah.
How the ghosts of the past linger. Certainly with the wife and child.
Mm-hmm.
And dead Basil, and how we grow older.
Right.
So, just out of instance, the Nazis are working with the government, which would go against Indy's ideological...
Oh, yeah, of course it would, yeah.
Things change. Attitudes change. There are two very distinct exceptions for me, but I generally hate time travel.
Right, I'm not that keen on
once you bring time travel into the mix, I tend to switch off.
Yeah.
As time travel is very, very silly.
Right.
And it's typically used as a convenience to dig your story out of a hole.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
An imposed hole, typically. This film is no exception. I still don't like time travel. However, the time travel just about lends itself to the themes of aging and the world changing around you, because Indy is suffering with painful scars from the past. He is a man who perhaps craves to be able to go back and change things.
Yeah.
That's why I think it kind of works as a whole in this instance.
I think the sad thing is that, like, obviously he talks about the death of his son, Matt.
Yeah. He's devastated by it.
He's
and
devastated.
It's destroyed his love.
But the problem is, nobody really cares because everybody hated Matt. Nobody liked that character.
Right, but he loved his son.
But he loved his son,
And
but
his
nobody...
wife loved
yeah,
his son.
but nobody
And
could
together
really
the
get on
bond-
board with that because it was a character we didn't like.
The audiences didn't like Shia LaBeouf's performance and character choices.
And also he
in
was
Crystal Skull.
he was a rubbish... Like, you never imagined if Indiana Jones had a son, it would be him. You know what I mean? That he would be like that.
Right, how would you expect it to be?
I would expect that he would be very knowledgeable and like quite nerdy, like Indiana Jones, because both Marion and him are very intelligent, and you would think if he was brought up by Marion that he would, that he would be very book learned.
I don't know. I think he'd be very tough.
Right. Okay.
Indy's tough. Marion's mega tough.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah.
Well, I get what you're saying, but I think that he would have a tough kind of ballsy.
I mean,
cavalier kind of way about him.
In this film, apart from Indiana Jones, I'm going to be honest, I don't really like any of the characters that much. I think the other character I can say I liked a bit was the kid.
Yeah, I love Teddy.
Teddy. He was
great.
because I thought he was going to annoy me when he came in, and I thought,
the short round in Doom.
Yeah.
Yeah, an iconic character.
I found that character
quite
Spider in
annoying.
Avatar,
Right.
Way of Water, quite annoying, and I thought, oh no, here we go. But he
We'll do an
wasn't. He
Avatar
actually was
episode one day.
He actually was quite sort of palatable.
Right.
So, but the rest of the characters, Helena, I thought she was annoying.
Yeah.
Really annoying.
She's beautiful and smart, but also very slippery.
Yeah.
An interesting character, and Phoebe Waller-Bridge is a really good actor, but the character doesn't work for me at all. I mean, the performance and the whole...
And I think
the assembly of it doesn't really work for me at all.
I think she ruined the bit at the end, like I told you last night, when Indy's having this moment with what's his name?
Which one, Voller?
No, with Archimedes.
With Archimedes.
Yeah, when he's having his moment with him, she spoils it because he wants to talk to him, kind of thing.
Right.
And she's like going,
shouldn't.
oh no, yeah. She's like saying, oh no, we
but
gotta go,
really
we gotta go.
shouldn't. Yeah.
No, he shouldn't. No,
because
but
he's going to alter time.
Yeah,
so
and then
she's doing the right thing.
She just punches him, and we don't see how they get home. He just wakes up, and it just felt really anticlimactic. I
But
thought.
she uses his methods against him.
Well, I know she does.
That's what he would have done to her.
Yeah, but I suppose it's just I just found it really anticlimactic.
Right. There are some blunt ends to this that I don't like.
The time travel only went one way, didn't it? They couldn't actually go to a specific point, could they? They
screwed it up.
They screwed it up, but didn't they say about the dial? It only took you back to Archimedes.
I don't know.
I'm almost sure they said that the dial only worked to take you back to him.
Because he was looking for people to come to him.
Yeah. So it only took you to him. It didn't take you where you wanted to really
It wasn't
go.
going to take you back to Nazi Germany.
And I don't understand continental drift.
So there has been separation.
Right,
over the many millennia.
Yeah.
So yeah, sure. So things where they won't necessarily be where they are now.
I had a problem with Antonio Banderas.
It was a bit of a waste for me.
What a waste.
Because he comes on screen and you go, woo!
Yeah.
And he's so charismatic
What
and he's
a waste.
so much fun, and he's dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What a waste. And I think they should have had a few more...
Anticlimactic.
Yeah, they should have a few more scenes with Antonio Banderas talking to Indy and saying like, hey Indy, what kind of trouble are you getting yourself into this time? And him going, oh, well, I'm always getting myself into trouble, blah, blah, blah.
Much like we were saying in the previous one,
Yeah.
he's got friends dotted all over the place. This is one
It would have been nice to have a little bit of familiar banter with him, which he didn't really get.
Bit of a catch-up.
Exactly. And to waste him just to have him shot,
Right.
I thought was a real waste of a decent actor.
But that's the thing, like, when he comes on screen, because he's Antonio Banderas, it just lights up. He just brings so much to the screen.
Yeah.
So much energy, so much charisma. You think, here we go. Yeah. It's going to really kick off.
I thought Mad Mad Mikkelsen's henchmen were really anticlimactic and characterless.
Well, I don't know if they're characterless, but one of them's just a scumbag that likes to... a cruel scumbag that likes to shoot. The other one's just a block.
A block, yeah. but that's all they were. He was just like the character was just a wall that didn't really talk.
I have a problem with that. The two characters. Right. I have a problem with how they were just killed. Like the lad was. I suppose having Teddy Kumar, the smallest of the characters involved, and kill the biggest guy with
David Goliath, isn't it?
Right, by using the handcuffs against him. Don't have really a problem with that. But having I don't know the name of the character, Boyd Holbrook's
that's what henchman. I mean. Yeah.
I'm sure he has a character name.
Yeah, I didn't know who he was. Because to start with, I thought he actually was like CIA or something.
Well, he is, but he's also a Nazi.
Right, so he's a secret CIA Nazi.
Well, that's the thing, though, isn't there? That's the other part of it, is that you've got the Operation Paperclip aspect of it, of the Nazis working within the government. That
I thought he was too southern to be a Nazi, to be honest.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean?
I don't know. I think the southern people are pretty racist by the looks of things.
Some of them can
pretty
be.
Horrible.
Some people can be, but...
Hi, America. Yeah, Mads Mikkelsen. I love him and everything.
Yeah. Just not used right.
There's something missing.
And he's so charismatic. That's the thing.
Again, much like
they could have given him some great scenes.
Yeah.
They didn't. It was just scene after scene of, hey, Dr. Jones, I've got you again.
Yeah, he's like end-of-level bad. He's Dr. Robotnik.
Yeah.
You just have to jump on his head.
And if I haven't got you, I've got little Teddy. Or if I haven't got him, I've got Helena. I've got,
Yeah, I've now got the dial.
Yeah.
Yeah. They've got all the right bits, they've got all the right ingredients, it just doesn't...
No,
click
it just doesn't...
For me. That's not to say it's all bad, of course.
And the problem is, I hate to say this, but I honestly think this actually might be worse than Crystal Skull.
I think it's on a par. I think it's...
I'm going to rewatch Crystal Skull because I'm not convinced. I think there's going to be more enjoyable bits in Crystal Skull than there are in this.
There are certainly sillier bits that are probably
more... Or entertaining
silly bits. Because don't forget... that
like when he gets blown up in the fridge.
In the fridge.
That's a great scene. I love that scene.
Or prairie dogs or something or other. Yeah. It would be funnier in the sense that, like, it's done by Steven Spielberg.
Yeah, I quite enjoyed
watching
that.
Steven Spielberg, like, screw up is kind of glorious.
To be honest, I do like silly bits. I mentioned to you about Superman 2. There's silly bits where a guy gets blown away on roller skates and all that silly stuff.
Silly, yeah. No, I like silly.
Yeah.
There are bits to enjoy in this.
Yes.
I think there are some good exchanges. There are some funny bits. There are a couple of bits where I chuckled.
Yeah, I did chuckle a few bits.
I love the subtle... he puts the magnet in front of Marion's picture.
Oh, that was good, wasn't it?
And then as she's behind, standing next to him in the kitchen, he then subtly does that with it. He takes it down again. Love that. Look, there's some really funny bits in it. Some really nice little exchanges. The chase through Tangier is good.
Yes.
It was quite well executed on the little tuk-tuk.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
It's regular adventure fare, isn't it?
However, doesn't hit the same spots.
No.
And not being funny, the CG is horrible and distracting. And again, Spielberg managed it. Why can't you manage it?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Why can't you do this for real?
For me, it was the teeth.
With stunt people.
Harrison Ford's teeth.
Teeth? What's wrong with his teeth?
Because his teeth were different.
Were they?
Yeah. They looked...
When young Harrison Ford as opposed to...
Yeah, because you can't have a man who's old with his old teeth in a young man's head. Because obviously teeth change, don't they?
Yeah.
I mean, you've heard of the phrase, a bit long in the tooth.
Right.
That's your teeth receding as you get older.
See, I thought, like, probably the eye. I think your wife...
the
wife said about the weird eyes and the hollow eyes.
Yes.
I 100% agree with her.
Yeah.
But you're saying I don't...
The teeth looked...
I didn't notice the teeth.
Yeah, I did.
I'm sorry.
I did.
I noticed
I
John
thought
Rhys
he looked...
Davies' teeth.
I think he
Got
looked...
some spectacular new gnashes on him, bless him.
I think he looked a lot better when he was wearing his indie hat. Maybe that was covering up a little bit more of the fake face, you know?
And the fake hair. He's got fake hair. He's got digital hair in that when he's young.
Well, Harrison Ford is probably hasn't got as much hair anymore, has he?
For sure,
you know?
but it's so noticeable.
Do you know what?
I don't think we're there with the deep fake.
Do you know what? I'm such a fan of Harrison Ford that my sister-in-law was watching a video with David Blaine, because you know David Blaine's got the magician's got a very distinct voice.
Yes.
And I could hear his voice, and I said, "Are you watching something with David Blaine?" And she went, "Yeah, I'm watching an episode where he's doing some magic for Harrison Ford."
Okay.
And I said, "Does Harrison Ford look really moist and damp in it?" And she's like, "That's the one." Because there is a David Blaine thing. He looks not greasy. No, just like, you know, say if he's been working out and he looks a bit wet, a bit sort of soggy, or as if he's been in the rain. You know, as if he's come out of the rain. And he just looks a bit moist.
Humid?
Yes, possibly. But he did look very tired as well in the...
He did.
In that... Do you know the one I'm talking about?
I think
Blaine,
I do. I haven't seen that, but he looked tired in this.
Yeah, well, this was when Harrison Ford... I think the hits was when he was 70, maybe.
Okay, about 20.
So, I mean, I thought he looked tired then.
Oh,
so...
okay.
But I do think, to be honest, you saw his body in this. The top half of his body, as he got out of bed.
He looks fine.
He looks... his body's great for a man.
I think he's around 80 odd, isn't he?
Yeah.
Looks fantastic.
I ain't going to have a body like that at 80.
Mine
ain't going to look that good.
Yeah.
Yeah, mine body's not going to look that great. So props to him.
Yeah, good for him.
Yeah. I mean, I know he walks like he lost his horse,
That's
but...
the other thing, isn't it? I think he's around 80. And there's no
bow-legged.
shame on being... absolutely no shame in being 80. But when he's got his young man face on an 80-year-old body... And he's running around. He looks like an 80-year-old.
Yeah.
And he sounds like an man, at least in his late 70s.
Yeah.
He's got that really deep voice where he didn't have that before.
Exactly. So many things change, isn't it?
The effects of the face and everything, but they didn't do. They're unable to do something with his voice.
Well, they should have been able to, because
You'd
they
think
did.
so.
They did with Mark Hamill, I believe, on The Mandalorian. I believe they took Mark Hamill's voice.
Right.
They ran it through a computer.
Right.
So that the words that were being said came out as Mark Hamill's voice, as a young Mark Hamill's voice. You know, from like Jedi, rather than now where his voice is much deeper because he's an older man.
Yeah, it happens.
Yeah, everything. You know, your earlobes get bigger. Shout out to my dad. He's got giant earlobes.
He's certainly got a distinct... we won't talk about his earlobes. What do you think of Karen Allen's brief appearance as Marion Ravenwood?
She's good.
Again,
she's
a bit wasted.
A bit wasted, yeah. She's like in it for 2 minutes.
She brings a bit of emotion to it, because you do feel...
I would have liked them to meet better than that, because it was just a bit thrown in, wasn't it? It was a bit like, you're back, and guess what?
Again,
you know,
suddenly Marion's here, much like suddenly Sala's here, much like suddenly Jürgen Voller's...
Do you know what I think would have been nicer? If you'd seen Indiana Jones go to where she was living, and at the end of the film knock on her door, and then she starts talking to... and he goes in...
Right.
And then closes the door, maybe.
Right.
Because I did think the bit at the end with the hat on the line and then he pinches it off.
I like that. I thought it was
so cheesy and lame.
Yeah, I don't mind that. But what I do have a problem with is just the sudden introduction of people.
Right, yeah. And they're thrown in for fan service, obviously, isn't it?
Oh, certainly.
Yeah.
Well, there's fan service, but also they do it within the actual narrative. Voller just turns up.
I believe Marion.
Ravenwood... what the hell is going on when he's they're on the boat and they're getting away? How can he see for like 50 miles that they've taken like a left through those little binoculars? Do you know what I mean? He's taken he took a right or something instead of going left. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
How can he see that?
How did that little kid fly the plane, Teddy?
Well, because he was a pilot at the beginning, wasn't he?
Oh, that's true. He was practicing, wasn't he? But he'd never been up, had he?
He had like a table.
That's it. He'd never been up, had he?
Dials and stuff like that. Yeah. Those dials were his destiny, I suppose. So John Williams' final score.
Really unmemorable. Like his score for the Rise of Skywalker. Really unmemorable.
Serviceable, it works.
I mean, you know the little Indiana Jones bit, but there's no real theme, is there?
It builds, and it's exciting at the right points. It does function.
Yeah.
But it's not the great score to end the great career on, perhaps.
Is that his final score?
I'm led to believe that's his final score. With great respect, he's also 80-odd and probably doesn't...
You've got to remember, there's bits when you watch a film that John Williams has composed for, like Harry Potter. The second Harry Potter movie, I believe, has a sequence in it when they're doing Quidditch, and it sounds very much like music in Phantom Menace.
Okay.
So he's going to hit some similar bits as he...
Right. You forget the Harry Potter score as well. The Harry Potter theme was him as well. Yeah. The guy's just got...
He's got so many iconic themes that you just say them, and Harry Potter, everybody knows it.
Yeah, you perhaps don't necessarily need to end on a perfect, equally iconic score when you've got a career littered with them. Perhaps.
Well, that's true. I mean, let's face it, like anything, there's directors, you're going to make a few bum films. You're not going to have a flawless career, are you?
No. Maybe that's the thing with Tarantino. Maybe that's the secret. Maybe he just sussed that out years ago. Just make 10. Just make 10 really damn good ones.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, maybe that's the secret.
Yeah, don't just keep churning them out.
No, do what interests you.
Yeah.
And do what you want.
I think this is why Ridley Scott's work's quite consistently good.
He's had some duds though.
But he's had some real bad duds. But what I mean is there are a lot of
But credit to him, he's also a man of...
He is. He's an octogenarian, isn't he?
And he's just knocking out quality work.
Yeah.
But not always quality work.
Not always, but his historical work is usually rather good.
Typically, I look forward to Napoleon.
You've still not seen The Last Duel, have you?
I've not yet seen
I'll tell you what, the last 20 minutes of The Last Duel is fantastic.
Oh, I look forward to seeing it.
Absolutely fantastic.
Again, he's a filmmaker that I trust.
Yeah. And I really love the sort of he said, she said.
It's like Rashomon, right? There's like a Rashomon element to it, right?
Yeah.
The unreliable story.
Yes, the unreliable narrator sort of thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Different narratives.
My
but
side, your side, and the truth.
Story. Right,
yeah.
Okay. I look forward to seeing it. I'm looking forward to seeing Napoleon as well. Don't really like Joaquin as Napoleon, though. Don't think that's working for me.
I don't mean to be unkind about Joaquin Phoenix, because he is a brilliant actor.
One of the great modern actors.
But he always tends to play quite weak characters. Do you know what I mean? Quite sort of, I don't know, like... I mean, in Joker, he is a really weak, pathetic...
starts off, and becomes a wildly powerful character.
Well, he does become powerful, yes. But I mean, like, a lot of his roles, he tends to be, like in Gladiator.
Right.
He's kind of like this one who's got power, but he's sort of...
He's sleeping with his sister.
He's a weak,
scumbag.
Weasley sort of...
Weasel.
Weasley type character. Which, obviously, is probably nothing like Joaquin Phoenix is.
Right. The problem I think I have with this is those qualities don't, in my opinion, or in my
make an emperor of France.
It doesn't really align with my understanding of what Napoleon was.
Who would you ideally like an actor now to play a Napoleon?
That's a good question.
Michael Fassbender.
Fassbender could do it.
Yeah.
Verdict.
This movie is awful. I was depressed. I really was depressed. I'm not
depressed at all. As a fan of this,
I was fidgety.
Really, yeah, so sitting next to you in the cinema when we watched this last night, you were fidgety.
Yeah.
You kept sighing.
Yeah. I was bored.
You were sat really weirdly in your chair.
I was, wasn't I?
Once the wine gums went, you seemed quite annoyed, maybe.
Did I look? No.
Because you were rustling and you were like, when they were gone.
Did my face look stern?
I didn't notice your face because it was dark.
Oh.
But I know I've known you for how many years? We've watched how many movies together.
Too long.
I know when you're annoyed. And I was kind of looking forward to this episode.
You were enjoying it,
just going to go off on one of this.
You were enjoying it, weren't you?
Well, that's the thing. I did. It's not a good film at all. It doesn't hold a candle to certainly the first three movies of this series. I enjoyed it. It is what it is. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the ride.
I suppose if I want to see a car crash, movie, to enjoy. I think I'd watch The Flash.
But I was bothered by it. It didn't hit the notes that I associate with this particular series.
And it doesn't really feel like part of the...
It really doesn't.
Part of the, what would it be now?
It's got all the right... As I said, it's got all the right ingredients. It just doesn't click.
Yeah. And Crystal Skull doesn't, does it?
Right, and there are so many annoying bits.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
And, yeah. It is what it is. Film fans of the series should watch it because it's the last one.
I think James Mangold did the best he probably could do with it.
I don't think so. I really don't think so.
Because he had to step into Steven Spielberg's shoes, didn't he?
Right. There are also little hallmarks. Like he does try and do the overlapping momentum action. There are some. You look at like Janusz Kaminski's. I hate how Spielberg's films look in the last 20 years or so when he's been working with Janusz Kaminski.
Right.
That horrible flare, that horrible oversaturation or undersaturation. I hate how Spielberg's movies look. I hate it. Minority Report, for instance. I
love how Minority Report looks.
Hate how
I
that
love
looks.
that.
However...
Do you know that's one of my favourite Steven Spielberg films, Minority Report?
Yeah, well, that's just your jam. That's fine. I hate it. But Mangold does do a load of that flair in this movie.
Yeah.
He does try
He does.
like, oh, look, I've got Spielberg's.
Or is he trying to do a bit of J.J. Abrams, maybe?
Well, I think J.J. Abrams is trying to do Spielberg as well.
Well, yeah, exactly. Well,
Also, what do you think of the CG? Because it's Glasgow, isn't it?
Yes.
It's not New York.
I thought it... Actually, when I was watching it and I heard the
leaning
bagpipes...
forward to like, what the hell? I know it's Glasgow. They've it really doesn't even look like New York to me.
Well, fortunately for me, I don't know Glasgow very well, so I don't know it really...
You're in for a treat.
Yeah, I don't really know I know they filmed that in Scotland. And I thought it was quite funny that they had the bagpipes.
Yeah, because they have when the NASA astronauts they do a parade.
I thought that was quite amusing because it's like it's a little
incongruous as well because you're expecting like a big band.
Yeah, an American thing, not a Scottish thing.
And you associate bagpipes certainly like when you with the Dark Knight, for instance.
Yes,
where they have the death parade.
Yes,
for the fallen. Yeah.
And also you would associate it more
weird.
with Irish, really, like Irish cops in New York and stuff like that.
For
don't
sure,
you?
yeah.
And he was living in New York, wasn't he? So it's the community of I do believe is a stronger Irish. You know, you get the Irish bars in New York, don't you? And stuff.
I think around that era you would have had the Italian and the Irish, right?
Yeah.
You please correct me, please, in the comments. Correct me
if we're wrong, you know.
But really strong kind of Irish and Italian vibes.
And you know the other thing I didn't like the look of New York. It looked like Captain America.
It looked fake.
Do you remember when they showed Captain America when he woke up?
Captain America was the first Captain America.
Yeah, the first one when he woke
up
in
Manchester.
Right. Okay. Yeah. And they give it this sepia tone, don't they?
Within about a month afterwards to visit a friend of mine in Manchester, and they still had some of the posters and signs up where they'd shop in the streets.
Okay.
They still had the old...
old
they still had like production design.
Right.
They didn't take it down.
Well, it's something nice for people to look at, isn't it?
So yeah, it did look weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they gave it a slightly sort of browny sepia tone to give it that
golden,
sort of to give it that sort of old 60s.
Didn't like it.
I didn't like it.
No,
it looked fake to me.
Was this shot? That was the other thing I was going to say because there's a lot of green screen. I get you have to kind of put your characters into historical settings which don't exist, and you have to put them in to make them whatnot. There's instances where it's like just like three characters talking. Was this a COVID movie? Did they shoot this during COVID?
Yeah, possibly.
Well,
because I think it did. Yeah, because I think it did.
Scene or something.
Yeah, because I think it did, didn't it? It got held
I
back because of COVID.
Just didn't know. Don't know.
I think it did get held back.
Or it was shot during COVID.
Possibly.
Because did you not notice that there's some like empty sort of mid shots of like two characters on screen?
Yeah, that is true. Yeah, that is true.
With like maybe one extra in the background. Yeah.
Yeah, like on the train where it's just Toby Bell and
Tangier.
Yeah.
No?
Yeah. It's only a few people, isn't it? Yeah.
I get the feeling they shot this during COVID.
It wasn't really bustling, was it?
No. Weird.
No.
I just thought they really struck me as like, did they do this during COVID?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think they might have.
Okay.
Because think about it, the COVID problem was going on in 2020. So
And 2021.
and 2021.
Which is when they probably shot this.
And they only started to sort of release, sort of the world only started to sort of open up in 22, started to really...
Makes me wonder whether or not, just empty scenes without a huge amount of people in it. It just makes me wonder, you can't have people on set when there's COVID.
Well, Doctor Strange was filmed like that, wasn't it?
There we are.
So...
Join us again as we discuss Cocktail.
Oh my God!
And Days of Thunder.
Oh my God!
A late 80s Tom Cruise double bill.
Oh!
And what a strange double bill it will be.
Cold Trickle!
We feel very differently about Cocktail, I think.
Oh, but do you know something?
But
I love both. How did you know I love
I know.
Days of Thunder?
You were so just preface this, we discussed the possibility during a 15-hour drive home on the way back from London Film and Comic Con last week. Check out our video. You kept going on about Cocktail.
I know I
so
did.
I'm like, I'm going to watch Cocktail. It's on Disney Plus. We had to do because we were going to do. I was thinking we'll pair it with Con Air. No, we're doing Days of Thunder with this.
I love Days of Thunder.
He with Jason or John. You can find us on Letterboxd. I am Rat Bastard.
I am Kerja_Relon.
How is that spelled?
KERJA_RELON.
You can find us on Instagram.
You can. Cinemattraction_podcast.
Link in the description.
We will be updating it every week with the new episodes, so look out.
There we are. Be excellent to each other.
Yes, and thank you for listening. And if you like what you're hearing, please leave a comment or click and subscribe, and give us a like, because we like to know that there's people out there enjoying what we're doing.
Yeah, it's nice to get the feedback.
Yeah, it's nice to get the feedback, and
be as cruel about Jason's voices as you wish.
You can, yes.
Cocktail and Days of Thunder. Okay, love you, bye-bye.
I love you, boy.
Oh, what a day.
Not the man I knew 10 years ago.
It's not the years, honey. It's the mileage.